From Nashville's WSM Radio, the original home of the Grand Ole Opry, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast.
Hey, it's Charlie Matos, and welcome into our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Ray Scott joins us on this episode. Longtime friend. He's been coming to see us for about 15 years, and he's got a great new album out called Billboards and Brake Lights. We would talk about that. We talk about early in his career, playing the Grand Ole Opry, touring Europe, and a whole lot more with our buddy Ray Scott on our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast.
About 34 minutes ago, Jackie Marushka at Marushka Media sent me an email, 7:30 promptly in the Central Time Zone. That's 8:30 in the East. Adjust accordingly across the country. Ray Scott releases 11th studio album. I didn't know you worked that hard. 11 albums. That's a lot of work.
Oh, I don't work hard, man. I just it's just been a long time.
I've never known you to work too hard.
Well, no, it's hard to believe it's been that long. I mean, my debut at Warner was 18 years ago, man. That's
was it? No kidding.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So Billboards and Brake Lights, and we're going to feature a song by that title coming up here in just a little bit. So that you had me at Billboards and Brake Lights. I mean, it's just a great hook.
Well, you know, I think on every album I've probably got at least one song that pertains to the life that we lead and the road and that kind of thing. And, you know, I mean, aside from backstage doors and parking lots, you know, I mean, it's billboards and brake lights and you know, middle fingers here and there. But
you know,
Michael
Martin Murphey recorded live at the Palomino one time, and he called it Peaks, Valleys, Honky Tonks, and Alleys. That was the name of the album.
that's perfect.
That's it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you remember going out for the first time? Who were you touring with back in the day?
You know, it's funny. You guys just mentioned seeing Darryl Worley. You know, I was doing some stuff with him early on and Montgomery Gentry a lot back in around 05. I think I met Darryl on a big festival out in Tucson, Arizona. And so, yeah, you know, all of us are friends now, too. So.
Well, hit him up when you leave this morning. Text him and ask him why he didn't invite you to come play his Christmas dinner show here at Gaylord Opryland this year, because he invited Andy Griggs.
Well, we're going to have to speak about that.
And then ask him for some comp tickets.
That's right.
I'm going to have to come out here and taste it and see what it's all about.
So you signed with a big deal like, you know, label deal like Warner. How did that come about? How long had you been in town when you signed?
You know, I'd been in town for I think 9 years when we did that deal. I'd had a couple of, you know, developmental / publishing deals with Acuff House Music back before Sony bought them. You know, and then I wrote for Tom Collins. You remember Tom Collins?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, all the great names.
Tom was a very, you know, at the time, half the time I wanted to strangle him. But, you know, I realized, you know, later down the line that him being so hard on us as far as not liking anything that we wrote was good for us because it taught us how to be more critical of our own work, you know. And so, I cherish the times I spent with Tom there, you know, right with my friend Philip Moore, and just kind of getting ready for what was to come afterward. You know.
Did you have, at the Songwriters Hall of Fame this year, did you attend?
I did not. I was actually out of the country.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about your European travels coming up. But several folks referenced those days when, at the publishing company, there would be a day of the week when all the writers at that publisher would play their songs for each other and critique each other. Did you have something like that with Tom?
No, Tom was pretty much the only critic.
I like that. Only child
tendency.
We never. I will be the determining factor.
My publishing company, I make the rules.
That's right.
You guys are my toys. Don't you ever forget
that.
Right. No, you know, we never actually critiqued each other's stuff, you know, unless it was behind each other's backs. You know, it's like, man, did you hear that crappy song? No, I'm just kidding. But no, we never did that. But, you know, I mean, there were a lot of things that I did take from that helped me become better at it, you know. You know, I learned that it's not necessarily a good thing to do to finish a song if it's not going to be any good. I think a lot of people over the years taught just, you know, keep writing just for the exercise. And I, you know, I do agree with that to some degree, but I just learned after a while, man, if it's not a great idea, I just don't chase it very far. Because you can think a lot of things are good at first, and then you come to your senses eventually.
It's kind of funny, too. That can work even for, like, songs that are people would say are classics now. I read somewhere that Leonard Cohen had like 90 verses of Hallelujah and never ever finished writing that song, even though, you know, a guy like Jeff Buckley put it on the map for sure, you know. So it's interesting to know when something's done or to know when to just give up on it.
Well, Willie Nelson
that's
famously,
hard to do.
Crazy was originally called Stupid. Somewhere along the way that got changed, you know.
These are all the things.
Well, yesterday was scrambled eggs for Paul McCartney.
Scrambled eggs.
Yes.
Really?
It was just a placeholder. He had the melody. He just needed something in there to be words.
Well, you know, I think I remember a story. I want to say it was Mac Davis that I think his publisher told him, you know, he was just getting started, you know, and I want to say it was Mac Davis. I'm not sure, but the publisher told him, or the song guy told him, hey, man, you got to write something with a hook in it, you know. And so he wrote "Hooked on You," and it was a big hit.
That's so good.
Baby, baby, don't get hooked on me.
Oh, was that it?
And then he also wrote "Hooked on Music" from this moment on about seeing Buddy Holly for the first time.
Well, man, he just he took that advice and ran with it.
Very literal. Very,
I heard
very
Billy
literal.
Joel say that in the Stranger, you know, that whistling part, that very ethereal thing.
Yeah.
He said he was playing it for Phil Ramone, his producer. And he goes, so he started whistling. He goes, Phil, hey, Phil, what goes in? What are we doing here? What instrument goes here? And when he finished it, Phil goes, the whistle is what goes there. What you just did, that's it. We don't need anything else.
That's so
and now
cool.
it's synonymous with that song.
That's
Well,
awesome.
you talked about doing songs about the road. I always loved the thing you did called The High Road Ain't Never Been My Road. And so we're going to stay on the road here this morning with Billboards and Brake Lights. And the full album available what time this morning, you said?
It's available now, the album is.
Okay.
The actual video we did for this song will be on YouTube at 9 a.m.
Okay.
I think Central Standard.
All right. So did you solo write this? Co-write?
I did. I solo wrote it. I mostly solo write these days, but you know that's just because nobody likes me.
Where did the hook idea come from? Where were you when you got the idea to go, oh, Billboards and Brake Lights, that'll work?
You know, I mean, I think we were literally riding down the highway, and it just came to me. I mean, I don't know where these things come from sometimes. I just think you learn how to keep your mind open, you know, after a while, and something might fall into it, you know.
Just being a vessel.
And then something falls out of it. Yeah.
Ray Scott, Coffee Country and Cody, WSM Radio, Circle TV all over the world. Billboards and Brake Lights, title track of his brand new album.
Another 700 miles from home. Another 11 hours to wonder why. I can't help but want to roam. And I could be with her every night. Something told me.
Well, Ray Scott, here's what it's come to with your new album out today. Billboards and Brake Lights. We heard it just a little bit ago on Coffee Country and Cody. It's Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Norway, Spain, and us.
Wow.
Would you pick a highlight from the stops you've made?
Probably you guys.
Yeah.
We don't have a stamp for your passport.
Because it reminds you of back home in North Carolina the most. Is that it?
No, you know, I tell you what, I just went to Norway for the first time, and that's been one I've been wanting to do, and it looks like we're going to be going back there quite a bit, I think. So, man, it's just I continue to marvel at just the places I've been able to go and see and perform. You know, I mean, being an independent for so long, you know, you never know what this is going to look like. You always have your preconceived notions. You might as well just flush those. I mean, but it's been really exciting, and it's amazing to see how many people in some of these European countries love this music. Mm-hmm. Just and our music, I mean, like just in general country.
And artists tell me that they really are traditionalists at heart too. They like it a little more on the traditional side.
And they, you know, the idea and the respect that you kind of get from them. I mean, they regard this as the American original art form that it is, and they celebrate it as such. You know. folks in the U.S. love country, but it's not the same. It's not really the same take. You know what I mean? People here are spoiled.
And they listen. I mean,
Exactly,
they're
yeah.
listeners. They love songwriters, right?
They do. They
Yeah.
really do. They love the steel guitar. They love the traditional.
Well, before we have you play, over the last year, you've lost both parents, and within a 3-month time period?
Year and a half, and I lost them 3 weeks apart. And that's been this album I was kind of working on and trying to put out a lot sooner than I did, and I that happened literally as I was beginning to record. I did this album with Moose Brown. You guys know Moose.
Jim Moose Brown, yeah.
What a great guy, great talent.
Was 5 o'clock somewhere? Yeah.
Yeah. And but we got started on it, and then that happened with my mom, and my dad followed 3 weeks later. And
was it rather sudden, or had they both been ill for a while?
Well, my mom had been going downhill. She was in just a lot of pain, and she was just tired. My mom had polio as a child.
Oh, wow.
So she dealt with a lot of, I think, honestly, just things that were just a byproduct of that as she got older, and after a couple of back surgeries, and just she finally broke her leg just standing up out of a chair, and it was up high, and her heart wasn't in the shape to really go under surgery, and so she chose to just be home, be comfortable, and go out like that.
And with your dad so quickly 3 weeks later, was it just the story you hear of couples to where he just didn't want to be here without her?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How about that?
I saw his demeanor. The life in him went away before it did officially. Literally, figuratively, it was already gone. I mean, I could see it. My wife could see it. He wasn't looking at any of us. He was looking straight ahead. I said, "Well, it won't be long now." And he was, he was actually doing really bad the day that my mom passed, and we had her service. But he didn't want to let on. He couldn't attend it because he wasn't feeling good. And, but he didn't let on how bad he was actually feeling until the day after. Because he didn't want her day to be,
How long were they
interrupted.
married?
Oh gosh, man, I want to say 60 some years.
Wow. Well, you have a song on the album that closes the album called "I'll See You Again."
Yeah,
and I know that came from that experience. What are you going to play for us this morning, buddy?
Well, this one is one. It's an older one. You guys remember Shelby Kennedy, right? You
Yeah,
remember Shelby?
absolutely.
Well, Shelby works with 1RPM, who is my digital distributor, and he reminded me, a few months ago before we went in the studio again, of this old song that I had written back when I was at Tom Collins. It was one of the first ones that I'd written there, and he asked me, whatever happened to that song? And I thought, man, I still got it somewhere. I'm terrible with keeping things organized, but I still remembered it. But I pulled it up, and I thought, man, this is still good. And I had to kind of rewrite a line of it because it was dated. It was kind of like, it didn't sound well. It was there was a line in it about getting the paper, and who does that anymore? Yeah. But anyway, so he reminded me of it. I thought, well, this is still good. I think a good song is going to be a good one no matter when it is. So this is not only the oldest song on this album, but the oldest song that I've actually ever recorded that I've written. So it's kind of funny like that. But songs just kind of choose their times to be born, I guess. And that one.
And what's the title of it?
It's called "I Fall in Love with You Again." And if you hear this song, you're going to know that I listened to some Don Williams growing up.
Oh.
Well, it's on his new album, Billboards and Brake Lights, which is available wherever you get your music today. Ray Scott.
I wake up, hit the snooze on that old clock. I walk to the kitchen, turn on the coffee pot, pull the shades up. Sleepy-eyed, you stumble in, and I fall in love with you again.
Man, that feels like It could have been written in 1970. It could have been written in 1980. It could have been written yesterday. That is beautiful, Ray.
Thank you. I
I hear the Don Williams, right?
The Don
That you
Williams
made.
for
man.
sure.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I was such a Bob McDill fan too, as far as
That's Hall of Famer Bob
songwriting
McDill.
goes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
I didn't need to use that before.
You
requires it.
You do one of my favorite
We have to
versions of
do
Good
like
Old
some of
Boys.
his,
Yeah.
what's that? Yeah,
Good Old Boy. Oh,
Good
yeah.
Old
Your
Boys
version
like
of Good
that.
Old Boys is so
Oh,
good.
Thank you,
yeah.
man. That's my favorite song.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, when I was asked by just people, you know how it goes. You get out in the media, and I wasn't quite prepared for some of the questions because it's so hard to pinpoint one song or one artist. But one thing I've noticed over the years is with Don is that there's a lot of people that love him. Whenever you bring his name up, say, "Oh man, I love him," but I don't ever hear any artist cite him as their number one influence or favorite song, whatever.
The one guy who always does,
Keith.
Keith Urban.
Really,
Yeah.
really. Well, that's interesting, man, because it's mine too. Me and Keith Urban are really similar too.
Very close.
Well, you
Very
said
close.
about your wife Stacy in that song. There's a great quote says, "This song is all about the feeling of contentment that comes from sharing your life with a lady you can't stop looking at every time you see her. It's a rare thing. It's better than all the riches in the world."
It is, and she's got a good sense of humor too. Reason I want to share something with you. Our anniversary was like 3 weeks ago, and she. I forgot it like usual, and she said, "I'm tired of this." She said, "You're gonna have to pay me back on this one." She said, "This is enough." She said, "There better be something in that driveway tomorrow morning that goes from 0 to 200 in less than 6 seconds." And so we got up the next day, and there was a box out there that I'd left. And, she confused. She looked out the window. She saw it. She went outside and grabbed it, picked it up, and brought it in the house, and she unwrapped it, and it was a bathroom scale. I haven't been home in 3 weeks, but I'm kidding.
The locks
Of
are
course I'm kidding.
changed after that.
Kelly, I could feel your eyes burning a hole from
Stacy, call me. We'll go
dude.
shopping with his
No,
card.
Let me tell you something. Well, of course, if she was heavy, I would never use that. But I had, I embarrassed her one time on the Opry. I just had to do it. But anyway, she loves it when I talk about it. She does.
Morning, Stacy. Your husband's over here hanging out with us, Ray
She
Scott.
probably ain't even listening. Yeah, I've heard all this mess before.
It's Billboards and Brake Lights, brand new and available today wherever you get your music. Ray Scott.
Thanks for listening to the Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a 5-star review. This podcast was produced through the facilities of WSM Radio in Nashville, Tennessee. The hosts of Coffee, Country, and Cody are Bill Cody, Charlie Matos, and Kelly Sutton. Producer Eric Markham. WSM General Manager and Director of Content and Programming, J. Patrick Tittle. Copyright 2023. Opry Entertainment Group Holdings, LLC.